It's often right after the moment passes. You're walking back to your car, or standing in the kitchen rinsing a mug, and suddenly it hits you. That quiet drop in your stomach. The replay starts. The sentence you shared. The detail you added. The tone of your voice. And the thought slips in, I think I said too much. Nothing obvious went wrong. No one reacted badly. The conversation moved on. But something inside you stays alert, like it crossed a line it can't clearly see. Why does that happen? Why can a normal conversation leave you feeling exposed, even when no one asked you to explain yourself? What you might be experiencing is a subtle kind of self-checking that shows up after connection. In this video, we'll slow it down and look at why that feeling appears, and what's really going on underneath it. At its simplest, this feeling is when your mind reviews something you shared and treats openness like a risk, even when nothing actually threatened you. One common reason is growing up around unpredictable reactions. Not necessarily loud or dramatic ones. Sometimes it's small shifts in mood, quick judgments, or moments where sharing too much was met with silence or discomfort. Over time, your mind learns to monitor how much of yourself is allowed to be seen. So later, even in safe conversations, you might feel a flicker of regret for being open. Not because the content was wrong, but because your system learned to be careful with visibility. Sometimes, it comes from confusing openness with responsibility. For a lot of people, sharing turns into a kind of invisible contract. If you explain yourself, talk about how you feel, or offer context, your mind assumes you now owe something: clarity, consistency, follow-up. It can start to feel like you handed someone a piece of yourself that you're now responsible for managing. So after the conversation, your thoughts circle back. Did I explain too much? Did I make it heavier than it needed to be? Not because you regret honesty, but because honesty felt like work. Over time, another layer shows up when you're someone who pays close attention to other people. If you're used to reading the room, noticing shifts in tone, or adjusting yourself to keep things smooth, your mind stays active after you speak. It scans for signs you might have tipped the balance. It checks whether the other person seemed comfortable, interested, overloaded. So even neutral sharing can feel risky. You start wondering if you asked for too much space, even when no one pushed back. The doubt isn't about the words. It's about the impact you imagined they had. Here's what this can look like in real life. It's early evening, maybe around 7:30. You're sitting across from someone you trust, coworker, friend, maybe family. The conversation drifts into how your week's been going. You mention something personal. Not deeply emotional. Just honest. They nod. They listen. They respond normally. Later, you're alone, scrolling your phone. And the moment replays. Why did I say that part? Did I overshare? Did I make it awkward? Your chest feels a little tight. Not panic. Just unease. Like you revealed something you now wish you could tuck back in. If you've been there, you're not strange. You might know someone who lives like this. This is what quiet self-monitoring can look like after connection. It doesn't mean you crossed a boundary. It means your mind is still trying to protect you from being too visible. What's easy to miss is that this feeling usually shows up after you connect, not before. During the conversation, you're present. You're responding naturally. But once it's over, your mind steps in to review the footage. It tries to decide if being open was safe. If it cost you something. If it changed how you're seen. And often, it asks the wrong question. Instead of asking, was this true for me? It asks, was this too much for them? One gentle way to meet this moment is to shift what you review. When the replay starts, try noticing one simple fact from the conversation. Something concrete. Maybe they stayed engaged. Maybe they shared something back. Maybe nothing changed at all. You're not trying to convince yourself everything was perfect. You're just grounding the feeling in what actually happened, instead of what your mind imagines might have happened. This works because your doubt feeds on blanks. Filling in one real detail can soften the story your thoughts are building. Another quiet practice is to notice what part of the sharing feels uncomfortable. Is it the content? Or is it the vulnerability of being seen? Often, it's not that you regret the words. It's that you're not used to letting them land without immediately pulling back. You might even notice this pattern across your life. Apologizing for talking too long. Adding disclaimers. Following up with, sorry if that was too much, even when no one said it was. These habits usually form to keep things smooth. to keep you safe, to make sure connection didn't tip into discomfort. But there's something else here that changes how you see it. Sometimes this feeling isn't a sign you shared too much. Sometimes it's a sign you shared honestly, and your system isn't fully used to that yet. When you've spent a long time measuring yourself, openness can feel louder than it actually is. So if you find yourself second-guessing after a conversation, it may not mean you misstepped. It may mean you stepped slightly outside an old boundary that was built for a different time. That doesn't make the feeling disappear right away, but it can help you hold it with less judgment. You don't have to replay the moment until it feels safe. You don't have to shrink the next time to compensate. You can simply notice the pattern when it shows up. Name it quietly, and let it pass without turning it into a story about doing something wrong. This reflection is for people who connect deeply, then double-check themselves afterward. For people who open up naturally, then wonder if they went too far. That pause doesn't mean you failed at the conversation. It often means you care about how you show up. And caring, even when it feels awkward, is not the same thing as oversharing. Sometimes it's just the echo of being seen, and learning that it's okay to let that echo fade on its own.